Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our SMB Unite presentation here. We've got a special guest, Adam Crockett, who leads our professional services and managed services here at D&H. I just wanted to kick off and say thank you to our sponsors, AMD, Lenovo, Lexmark, Logitech, Microsoft, Netgear, and Samsung for this presentation. And I'm just going to pass it right off to our fearless leader, Adam.
Okay, thank you, Nikki, and most importantly, again, thank you to the sponsors, and equally, if not most importantly, thank you to our customers, our partners for joining today. I recognize that you could be anywhere today. You could be doing lots of other important things on a Tuesday, so we appreciate you taking the time to invest in our relationship, maybe learn something. I'll do my best to make it relevant, and we shouldn't go a full hour by any means, so let's get started. Thanks again. All right, quick background on myself and the role I serve within the organization. As the Senior Director of Professional and Managed Services at D&H, I serve in what we would refer to internally as an overlay business unit, part of the product management team. So we serve both internal stakeholders, which would be all of our field and inside sales resources, both consumer segment and commercial segment, and then we support external stakeholders, which would be you folks, the partner. So depending on where you are in your journey with D&H and where you are in your journey with professional and managed services, you may have a direct relationship with folks on my team. And those folks would be in 4 or 5 distinct areas of competency. Pre-sales specialists that help you scope projects and understand the need of the end user, and then pre-sales technical support. So all of the engineers and solution architects that develop the services roadmap and build out statements of work and all of the costs and pricing for that are on my team. Post award of a project that we would collectively enjoy, then there's a project management function. This is the scheduling and the logistics and the timing of the virtual services or the on-site services, and kind of correlating and combining those with watching tracking information for hardware or software that needs to be shipped or provisioned ahead of any particular installation project. And then lastly, I own all the operations folks and any of the subcontractor vendors in our partner community that are providing any of these services where D&H is not the one providing them. So I serve in some respects as almost the general manager of our practice. And with that, we will talk a bit more about then what was most important. About 4 years ago, we identified that we needed to build a framework for our services. We kind of landed on what we refer to as AIM. It's a very common acronym known internally. It's one that we're very proud of because I think it mirrors the end user IT acquisition process. And with that understanding of the IT acquisition process that all of you understand, you'll understand how we came up with the terminology AIM for assess, implement, and manage. As you folks know, when your end users are getting ready to make any technology acquisition whatsoever, hardware, software, services, all of the above, there is originally an assessment that has to take place. The question is, are you folks part of that, or are they doing that on their own, or are they doing that with some other consultant? And in each unique case, it might be something they don't need external resource for, and the end user makes that assessment or that consultation or does the survey or does some package evaluation or testing or analysis all on their own. But they undoubtedly go through that process, if nothing more, for budget and timing. Then after that, once a decision has been made about the technology acquisition, the end user is going to go through an implementation process. This can be done virtually, this can be done on site, this can be done from a pre-deployment perspective. And again, the question is, do they use your organization for those services? Do they use another organization for those services, or are they doing it themselves? And I would say in the particular case of implementation, more times than not, depending on the end user size, the organization itself probably doesn't do all of the implementation services themselves. They are seeking out assistance from the likes of you folks on the call today. And then lastly is management. Once the solution that has been assessed, acquired, implemented, and put into use at the end user's location, somebody's maintaining it. Again, the end user might self-maintain the hardware. If it's a service for the resources or the software, they may do their own maintenance themselves. Even in that case, I would say more times than not, they're now looking towards a managed service. And we have a suite of options that we can talk about further there. But ultimately, we built out our AIM methodology, or this framework or solution architecture, and then began our journey building out an iterative menu of services. Now, these services are very much partner aligned. So one great outcome of today's call would be that we connect with you and you come up with or make an inquiry about a particular service need that you think could be sold in the market that end users like your end users need. And we might operationalize that service and add it to the line card. So all of our services are very much partner aligned. You're closer to the end user than we are. They've got to be typically vendor agnostic. So it's very category specific. So it might be networking, but it's not going to be very specific to one OEM. We wanted to help our sales stakeholders and your sales stakeholders, enable them to sell more consultatively. And then they have to be SKU driven. So where, and it can't always be this case, but where we've seen success is if we can create a SKU for that, we often refer to it as fries that go with a burger. We think we can get higher attach, both D&H to partner and partner to end user. Sometimes that's not possible, and you've got to go through a scoping discussion and some sort of assessment back to AIM, and you ultimately come up with a very unique statement of work, which we can do as well. But more times than not, where we've seen success is, can we SKU it up? Can we add specific fries that go with that IT acquisition of that burger? These could be endpoint device configuration services. These can be on-site installation of access points. These could be mailbox migration when someone's going from on-prem to the cloud with a particular product like Microsoft. So in many of those cases that I just described, we've got a menu of fries that go with those burgers that make it very easy for you to understand, a very specific scope defined for that particular service, fixed costs that should allow you to margin it and easily ask for it on a quote and easily then margin it and sell it on a quote the same. And then most importantly, they've got to be reliably delivered. So we recognize that if we are delivering these services on your behalf, we've got to do it right. We've got to do it well. We've got to do it relatively inexpensively, allowing you folks to make margin on it. And nothing is worse than going through all of the things that we've talked about to date and building great services and then not being able to deliver on them and deliver on them regularly. Having said that, I'd encourage a follow-up to our team, and we'll talk about how to get in contact with us so that we can aim high. We can try to align to your organization to figure out where any of our menu of services might be a good fit for your organization. Again, with about 62 folks on the call today, I recognize that one service that we do well may be perfect for one company and may be absolutely not a fit for another because it might be their own core business. And so sometimes we fill out geography deficiency, sometimes we fill out technical competency deficiency, and sometimes it's just a seasonality matter that might be the reason that we work with a particular partner. So it's very, very unique to each partner, and hopefully we have the opportunity after today's call and the weeks to come to talk to some of you folks about where you are at on your own professional and managed services journey and where we can help you co-deliver some services. All right, let's talk about a few examples because I think this might bring a little color or clarity to what I'm describing. These are some of the most highest propensity areas of partner alignment today. So many, if not nearly all of our partners are using us for some pre-sales technical support. And in most cases, it's at no cost, and many of them come in and looking for a hardware solution or a software solution, and they just need some additional pre-sales assistance. That is available to you, and those are the folks on my team that are obviously helping you and offering your customer the right particular recommended solution. Pre-deployment configuration services. Lots of you folks probably buy endpoint devices from D&H or systems or laptops or notebooks or tablets. Some of you have your own configuration services you offer internally, so we're here as an option for capacity and seasonality or geography. But for lots of you who do not have a depot or a configuration center, we can provide menu-based, SKU-based, relatively inexpensive, low-tech, high-volume services on your behalf. Things like asset tagging, laser etching, Windows OS provisioning, sometimes referred to as Windows imaging and sometimes referred to as autopilot. We can provide you Google provisioning services, sometimes referred to as ZTE or zero touch, memory upgrades, hardware upgrades, all kinds of things that can be done relatively inexpensively in our distribution center before the product ever leaves the facility. And we can do it on your behalf and allow you to make additional margin on the attach of those devices. On-site implementation and virtual implementation services. Probably the area that most folks have used us in the last year around is around the particular category of Pro AV Collab, or what we would consider our audiovisual and collaboration group, and the on-site installation of those. Most people don't install large format TVs. Most people don't install a complete retro smart room, including rally bars and microphones and speaker phones and doing some of the cabling. We've come up with a relatively sophisticated and modernized way to make that scoping process very easy and allow you, again, to serve up the proper fries that go with that burger and very easily resell installation services as well as end user training and adoption of those particular smart rooms so that you know how to use that product once it's in the environment. Virtual implementation services can be anything from security pen testing, can be, as I mentioned before, mailbox and other cloud migration services from on-prem to off-prem, et cetera. And we'd be happy to talk to you about some of those particular services as well. Another one that's probably emerging that a lot of partners are taking a good focus on is entering into a 5G relationship. Now, we are partners with specifically T-Mobile. They are our 5G partner in choice. We believe they have the best network, and I won't spend too much time on that. But most importantly, I've recognized in the last year, D&H has recognized that the telco industry has run a parallel distribution channel to traditional IT. And of late, carriers like T-Mobile recognize that we, and particularly you folks, have very intimate relationships with end users and end user IT departments around their networking and connectivity ecosystem. And so therefore, carriers want us to have the opportunity to sell them on 5G. 5G meaning connected laptops and hotspot alternatives, network failover, and tertiary opportunities to connect to data when the primary landline is down, and other advanced networking solutions. And this is a very rich channel distribution model that if you have any interest and want to learn more about that, I'd encourage you to get back in touch with us. We can talk about how this is a good area of expansion for your own company. Help desk as a service, very simple. Level 1 tech support, dual shore, U.S. co-owner and offshore as the sun travels or as the clock travels. We offer a help desk as a service, relatively inexpensive, about $7.50 a month per user to call in 24/7, 365 and get level 1 tech support using an ITSM PSA tool of our choice. And making it white labeled for you so it would be received, or the call would be received as your help desk HQ, not D&H. Those are just a few areas that we've had high propensity of alignment. And again, the most important thing in delivering service is that we are the caretaker of your image. And we take that very seriously. And we know that we're only as good as the last service event that we did, whether that's a phone call on the help desk, helping with a 5G activation, doing some pre-deployment config services correctly, or some on-site installation. We are the caretakers of your image, and we are the caretakers of that order, and we need to make sure that we're doing right by you folks, the partner. Lastly, the goal as we continue to build out our services is trying to make SKU-based services that are in stock and, again, easy to quote. So there will be times that we'll say, no, that's not a good fit for us. But more times than not, the question we're trying to discern is how quickly can we operationalize a service, make a SKU for it, and if it's good for you, maybe it's good for many. All right, one more slide, and then I will take some questions. So let's talk about a real-world experience on a very large scale, but I think this is relevant to a lot of you. Let's talk about first the genesis of this opportunity. So we had a partner, SMB partner, who is a audio in-store SaaS company. So rather unique partner. Let me say that again. They specialize in store audio advertising. right? So think about gas stations, think about grocery stores, think about convenience stores or Total Wine, liquor stores. Like you think about anywhere where you have retail traffic. All right. An organization like that was building a proprietary SaaS solution. So in doing that, what did they originally need? What they needed from D&H and what they originally called for was they were looking for some speakers. So they were simply looking to see what speaker options did we sell? Did we sell Blue Sound? Did we sell JBL, now Harman and Logitech? What other speakers did we actually sell? So we did that, addressed those questions, and then went back to the AIM architecture and said, who's doing the installation? And that opened up a conversation that we had no clue was going to happen. This was about 16 to 18 months ago. The need was the following. They had an end user organization that they were going to install this in. They needed, and I'll go quickly, but I want to repeat these, so I'll say them twice. They needed distribution. They needed storage and logistics. They needed a place to not only hold inventory that they might buy from us, but third-party inventory because they made their own media player. They needed OEM price negotiation. They needed inventory planning. They needed financial credit for this large-scale opportunity. They needed pre-deployment services like staging and kitting and testing, asset tagging and provisioning. They needed on-site installation. They needed, which included cabling and network connectivity. They needed project management. They needed scheduling and logistics and all of the things that. Here we then came up with a solution for them that we worked on and did a pilot. And what ultimately ended was the successful installation of over 12,000 7-Eleven locations installing their SaaS solution. So 12,000 locations over 11 months, doing Monday through Friday from last September through July 11th, 7-Eleven. We installed about 100 stores a day across every zip code in the United States. Each unique install had a switch, had a media player, had 3 to 4 speakers, cabling, and that was all connected into their POS system. Every single one of those boxes, or we'll call a store in a box, was sent through our distribution center, was staged for the project. It was a blend of hardware that they acquired from us, a sponsored manufacturer in this call, thank you, Netgear, along with third-party inventory of their own. We had to open it all up, test it, provision it, kit it, connect to the internet, asset tag it, store venue assign it, put it back in a box, ship it out on a third-party UPS account, time up the delivery, and make sure that one of our 52-man tech teams met it out there either in the AM or the PM to complete that store, either that AM or that PM. And we did that every Monday through Friday for 9 months. Through hurricane season and LA fires and flooding in North Carolina and all kinds of other, acts of God that caused schedule changes and rescheduling. And that is the power, I think, of partnering with D&H, is we can give you the opportunity to do things that are beyond your current infrastructure. And we can provide you all of the assistance from, again, credit to project management and scheduling and warehousing and all of the things that are necessary to do that over the course of a long period of time. And we did that all the while, no interruptions to the rest of our businesses that were going on and service activities that were going on from last September through July 11th. So the takeaway here, I hope for just one of you, if not all of you, is with D&H, if you think about that AIM solution architecture framework and you think about this example that I've described, we can expand your reach and your capability and your competency far outside of what's in your current infrastructure if you just take a few minutes to learn more about the partnership. And in doing that, I would encourage you to reach out to your sales team for an introduction to anybody on my team, or you can contact us directly at proservices@dnh.com, and we'd be happy to align with you folks on all of the services that we can bring to market for you. With that being said, I will skip one more slide. Thank you again to the sponsors. I'll put it back to Nikki to open up for questions. I think we've got a few that have already come in and some other questions that may, in fact, come to pass as we're talking now. Nikki?
Yeah, sounds good. So Ethan's asking, is it 24/7? Do you have an off hours option? We currently don't handle 24/7, only 12 to 5. So looking outside those hours, could you work with our ITSM stack?
Yes, that's great. Ethan, answer to both questions. We do not offer necessarily an off hours option. For $7.50 a month per user, we believe it is relatively inexpensive. And if you only choose to use it for off hours, we think it's probably still relatively good economics. So we have chose not to offer that as a different option. It's really two SKUs. It's either help desk or help desk as a service plus. The difference between plus and not plus would be proactive monitoring versus just all reactive. It is 24/7. And then the answer to your second question about Ninja, that is not our ITSM stack or in the PSA tool, but I assume Ninja has APIs that we could connect into, so we would still be able to pass data through your ticketing system. Good two questions, Ethan. Nikki, back to you.
Thanks,
I think
Ethan.
I can.
Yeah. Dawn is asking, what is the minimum set required for help desk?
I think what we set it at the partner level, not at the end user level, but at the partner level, I think it's 10 seats. It's either 10 or 50. I know that's an important distinction. I will get clarification. And Dan Warden, if you could check for me and message me in Teams while we're on, based on our information, that would be great. But I know it's at the partner level, not at the end user level.
Great. Let's see. Josh, he's asking, can we get a recording of this? The answer is yes. So once we've concluded this, it's going to go on demand on our website within 24 hours. And you can use the same link that you used to join this presentation to get to that on demand. So you'll be able to have access to this. And then we'll also be sending all of the attendees a link afterwards as well that they'll be able to access.
All right, so in confirmation, it's not 50 and it's not 10. It's 5 seats and it's a 12-month commitment. So we can scale up or down, but it's a 5-seat minimum. Not too bad for a particular partner, right? To secure 5 seats, going back to Ethan, if we just did, obviously, some of your off hours on 20, you could pilot it with one particular end user that hopefully has more than 5 employees. Great question, though, on the recording. Hopefully that answers your question, Don, and kind of touches back on your questions, Ethan.
Varto's asking, do you have a state contract number if our client is to ask for one?
Yeah, so we do not have a state contract. We do not carry a lot of public sector contracts today. But while I have you, I will say that we operate on 2 of the most common public sector, state, local education cooperative agreements. That would be both Omnia and Equalis. So we do have both of those cooperatives and can use those vehicles as a legal exemption to the RFP process, if that answers your question, Varto.
And is there anything that they would have to do, Adam, to get access to those if they don't already?
So if they don't have access to Omnia or Equalis, when they call into their sales team, the sales team can swivel them up the proper quote, make sure that they get partner authorized to pass that through, and they can basically buddy off of our quote. They just need to make sure that their rep knows that they want to get a quote off of Equalis or Omnia.
Okay, great. Josh is asking, can the help desk use ConnectWise RMM, and is it an unlimited support?
It is unlimited, and yes, ConnectWise RMM does have the APIs as well, so we could patch into that. That's correct, Josh.
All right, Nazari, I hope I'm saying that right. Is there any additional info regarding services that you provide that were mentioned in this meeting?
So we have our standard deck, as well as, again, we have a team of resources that could reach out to you. If what I'd ask of her, I think, or him, I'm sorry, Mr. and Ms. Nabuka, if you could email proservices@dnh.com. If we could put that in the chat here, there will be a person that would be able to get you specific information or a broad overview of our service menu. Proservices@dnh.com.
That's an easy one to remember. And it's spelled DANDH.com. So it's just DNH spelled out.
That's right.
So Agatha, for pre-sales, can you share references if the RFP requires it?
References would be, I guess, would it be a reference to references on the pre-sales technical resource, or references meaning engagements that were provided? So if you, Agatha, if you could message that back in the chat there, I think I could better answer that question. Josh, I'm keeping track on you as the Support USA base. I'm not sure if you joined late, but it's dual shore. It's both D&H co-owner handled in the queue during traditional 8 to 5 hours, and then as it, but not all of the calls, but then it also rolls offshore, especially over the night. So we refer to as dual shore based. Engagements provide. Sure, we would be happy to give you some examples, Agatha, or anybody, of work that we've done similar to the RFP, I suppose, that you're looking for that could help reference in an RFP response. That's reasonable, yes. And Dan, thank you for putting the email in the chat. Any other questions? I think we in turn provided some polling questions, Nikki, that I think can be attended to. I don't know, to the extent you could provide us feedback on these as you end today's call, that would be fantastic. I think this would help us align to you a bit further. Go back to you, Nikki.
Yeah, sure. So how these polling questions work is I'm going to put the questions up, and next to it, you can click on an option, right? So I'll give you a couple minutes to or a couple seconds here to answer them, and then we can go to the next slide, and it'll show kind of the percentage of answers there. We do have a couple of these, so if you want to fill these out, this will kind of help us understand how we can best assist you and how we can help with the solutions that you have been experiencing. So I'll just go through a couple of these. I'll give you a few minutes to go through and do these. And as we do that, it looks like we have another question, Adam.
Yep.
Don's asking, how do we find our representative in the company?
Oh, it's a great question. Again, you can email proservices@dnh.com, or more importantly or easily, you can go to your primary sales contact and ask to speak to your pro services overlay or subject matter expert. And most likely that'll be someone like Dan Warden, who's on the call with me here, or a backup to him, which could be a gentleman by the name of Doug Abraham or Richard Paul. But we hope that your primary sales contact should be able to get you to the professional services business unit, and can't wait to talk to you. Thanks, Don.
I have a question, Adam. If we have a couple minutes, what if we've never done something like this before and we were looking to kind of move into this type of solution? Do you have any advice on what are the best steps to move forward?
You know, it depends on what the service need is. Again, I think the biggest question that probably any of the folks on this call might ask is if they're entertaining adding a service to their line card. It's what is the cost? What is the CapEx? What is the capital expenditure cost one time to operationalize this? How much is out, legitimate hard costs? I got to buy a piece of software. I got to buy a building. I got to buy whatever that might be. And then subsequently, what is the ongoing operational expense to maintain that service? So if it's something that you really feel like is going to become core to your business and is what you're really going to hang your hat on as a kind of a go-to-market differentiator, then obviously you're probably making the decision to build it yourself. Where maybe it makes better sense to start slow, have it co-delivered, not have any of the CapEx associated with operationalizing it, and leaning on like a distribution partner like D&H to kind of get you into the business without a huge upfront level of effort. It's very scalable. And then ultimately you could choose to insource it down the road because it's going so well. Then maybe you have the time, and now you've got the business and the economics to actually bring it back in-house. So we can be a short-term or an interim solution, but that's probably the biggest question is this something that's core to our business, or is this something that we think can be better off or better served as a co-delivered model? And I think we can help you and talk through any partner, which ones would be more logical, I think, Like, for example, I don't think building a distribution center, a configuration center is a top of mind unless you've got a lot of volume to move through it, when we can actually do that relatively low tech, high volume service for you. It's a good question, though. Don, I
Yeah.
see you said again, do you provide services for products purchased from different, do you provide services for products purchased from different, all of the services that we're building out in our menu are vendor agnostic. And so respectfully to all of our vendor partners that sponsor today and beyond, it's not right for us to build a service for one networking product, but rather to build it for the networking category. I hope that makes sense as an example. Back to you, Nikki, or any of the questions you're flashing on this screen.
Sure. Looks like we've got a lot of people who are interested in kind of learning a little bit more here. So we'll be getting with you. We have your contact information here from attending. So we will definitely be getting in touch with you. And if you want to reach out to us first, Dan put in the chat the pro services at dnh.com, so you can reach out to us first. Who will get to you first, us or you? So I don't see any more questions. So kind of taking the last opportunity here. Oh, here we go. Cynthia coming in hot. Do you have case studies that show small businesses transitioning to a medium-sized business using your services?
Cynthia, good question. No more than anecdotal, like the one I described at the end. I mean, I don't have documented case studies with testimonials specifically, but I think when you talk with a particular resource on my team or myself included, I think it would be more about how we helped that small business IT MSP with a particular engagement. Whether then we use that engagement to be the building blocks to do that on a recurring basis or not, ultimately I think is up to the service provider themselves. But I'm sure we could share a few anecdotal stories. Good question though, Cynthia.
Any others here before we close out, guys? We're happy to take your questions. We've got the expert here to talk to while we're still here. So take the last minute here to wait for any questions.
While we do that, I want to thank you again. I mean, I think we were scheduled for upwards of an hour. It's been about 32 minutes. I'd be happy to yield back the remaining time. We are grateful that you spent even 30 minutes with us. I hope that some of the points that I shared landed with some of you, and hopefully there's an opportunity for us to engage beyond your traditional, maybe longstanding relationship with D&H and IT hardware acquisition or distribution. If there's anything we can do to add value, add margin, make you more sticky with your end users, be more consultative using our AIM framework, we are excited for that opportunity to do so, and we'll be sure to follow up with those who've raised their hand as such. Thank you.
Alrighty, that's it for all of us here today at D&H. Thank you so much for joining, and thanks again to our premier level vendors. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for your time.